Oceans cover more than 70% of Earth's surface. To most of us, they seem familiar. Beaches, waves, the shifting tide. But beneath that surface lies a world hidden in perpetual night. The average depth of the global ocean is about 3.7 kilometers. That means most of Earth is not land at all, but vast expanses of black water. Sunlight, the force that sustains life, penetrates no further than the first 100 meters. Beyond that, light fades rapidly, swallowed by layers of water until only darkness remains. At 200 meters, daylight is gone. Below that, 90% of the ocean exists in shadow or total darkness. Put another way, most of Earth itself, by sheer volume, exists in conditions where no human eye has ever seen. Life, however, persists. Scientists estimate that more than 94% of all living organisms on this planet are found in the oceans. On land, we are the minority. And yet, even as billions live near the coasts, what lies deep beneath the waves is still largely unmapped. The seafloor is less familiar to us than the surface of Mars. At 1,000 meters, pressure is already 100 times greater than at the surface. At 4,000 meters, the weight of the water would crush a human instantly. At 11,000 meters, the deepest trenches, pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres. Conditions so extreme that only specialized machines can endure. This is not the edge of the world, it is the world itself. Darkness is not the exception, it is the rule. Most of Earth exists where light cannot reach, and within that hidden expanse lies a realm stranger and more hostile than almost any place beyond our atmosphere. The horrifying truth is simple. Our planet is a place of darkness, and the ocean is its dominion. Our descent begins in the shallow waters of the coast. For millennia, humans have tested their endurance here, diving without equipment in search of food, pearls, or treasure. The maximum depth reached by traditional pearl divers is around 40 meters. Beyond that, the pressure forces air from the lungs, and the body struggles to survive. With the invention of modern diving equipment, people push deeper. Recreational divers rarely pass 30 or 40 meters. A handful of elite professionals extend their limits to 100 meters or more, but even then, risk is constant. The body is not built for such extremes. The world record for a dive using conventional scuba equipment stands at around 332 meters, set by Egyptian diver Ahmed Gabr in 2014. At that depth, the pressure is more than 30 times what we experience on land. Human lungs, sinuses, and circulation face immense strain. Without precise decompression, nitrogen dissolves into the blood, forming lethal bubbles as the diver ascends. The invisible killer is not what you see. It is the weight of water itself. Even the strongest lungs, the most advanced equipment, and the greatest training cannot defy the limits for long. To go deeper requires technology beyond the human body. Submersibles, bathyscaphs, and robotic probes designed to endure what flesh cannot. The ocean sets boundaries we cannot cross unaided. 40 meters for pearl divers, 300 for the most daring with modern gear. Beyond that, the descent belongs not to us, but to machines. What awaits below is not only depth, but pressure. Invisible, relentless, and absolute. In the deep sea, survival is not about skill or courage. It is about whether the body and the machines we build can withstand the crushing weight of a world designed to keep us out. The first 200 meters of the ocean are called the photic zone, the only region where sunlight penetrates with enough strength to support photosynthesis. Here, light sustains the foundation of life. Tiny organisms called phytoplankton convert sunlight into energy, multiplying into massive blooms across the surface. These microscopic plants feed small crustaceans, like krill and copepods. They, in turn, feed fish, squid, and marine mammals. The entire oceanic food chain begins here, in a layer barely a fraction of the ocean's total depth. More than 90% of all marine life is found within this narrow band. From sardines and tuna to dolphins and whales, the richness of the photic zone sustains not only the oceans, but life on land as well. Every second breath humans take is supplied by oxygen produced in these waters. But even here, light begins to fail. At 100 meters, brightness dims into a greenish haze. At 200, daylight vanishes completely. Below this point, plants cannot grow and photosynthesis stops. The boundary is sharp. Above it, oceans teem with visible life, nourished by sunlight and warmth. Below it lies an alien world, where survival no longer depends on the sun. It depends on adaptation to darkness. The 200-meter mark is the ocean's first hard threshold. It separates the familiar world of color and light from the uncharted depths where darkness rules. Beyond this line, the ocean begins to reveal its most haunting secrets. Crossing 200 meters, we enter the mesopelagic, often called the twilight zone. Here, dim light filters faintly, never strong enough for photosynthesis, but enough to cast shadows. This is a place of transition. As the light fades, creatures evolve extraordinary adaptations. Bioluminescence becomes the dominant form of survival. Organisms produce their own light through chemical reactions, glowing blue or green in the darkness. For some, this light attracts prey. For others, it confuses predators. One of the strangest inhabitants is the siphonophore, a colonial organism related to jellyfish. It can extend dozens of meters, drifting through the darkness with glowing tendrils. To the eye, it seems like a single creature, but in reality, it is a colony of specialized organisms, each serving a role in feeding, movement, or defense. Predators lurk deeper. At night, many fish and squid migrate upward from this zone to feed in the rich waters above. During the day, they retreat back down, hiding from larger hunters. This vertical migration is the largest daily movement of life on the planet, occurring invisibly beneath the waves. Humans have reached this depth in submarines, but never for long. The twilight zone is not empty, but alien. Its creatures appear bizarre, with oversized eyes, glowing organs, or transparent bodies. For millions of years, they have evolved in conditions few others could endure. By 1,000 meters, sunlight is reduced to less than 1% of what it was at the surface. For all practical purposes, it is gone. Beyond this point, there is no twilight, only night. The twilight zone reveals a haunting truth. Life finds a way even as light dies. Yet the deeper we go, the more survival twists into forms unrecognizable to us. Here begins the midnight zone, or bathypelagic. At 1,000 meters, darkness is complete. The sun no longer reaches. The temperature drops to near freezing, hovering just above 0 Celsius. The weight of the water is crushing, hundreds of times greater than at the surface. Food is scarce. Most life depends on a steady drift of organic matter known as marine snow. Flakes of dead plants, animals, feces, and dust sinking slowly from above. In this desert of darkness, every particle matters. Creatures here conserve energy. Many are slow-moving, conserving every calorie. Others rely on extraordinary adaptations. The anglerfish, for example, dangles a glowing lure from its forehead, a beacon in the dark that attracts unsuspecting prey. Within its cavernous jaws, razor-sharp teeth curve inward, ensuring no escape once the trap is sprung. Some of the ocean's largest inhabitants venture here. Sperm whales, diving to depths of over 2,000 meters, hunt colossal squid in duels few eyes have ever witnessed. Beak marks found on whales and scars left by giant tentacles are evidence of battles fought in darkness. At these depths, light is almost unknown, except for what creatures create themselves. Glowing spots along a fish's body may mimic the faint light above, camouflaging it from predators below. Others flash bright signals to communicate in the endless night. The midnight zone stretches to 4,000 meters, covering most of the ocean floor. It is vast, cold, and forbidding, a region where human presence is fleeting and fragile. Here, the horrifying reality emerges. Life endures not in spite of the darkness, but because of it. Evolution twists into strange shapes, and survival strategies defy imagination. For every species we discover, countless more remain unknown. The Midnight Zone is Earth's hidden kingdom, and its rules are unlike anywhere else on the planet. Beneath the Midnight Zone lies the Abyssal Zone, stretching from 4,000 to 6,000 meters. This is a landscape few have ever seen. The temperature is near freezing. The pressure is immense, nearly 600 times greater than at sea level. The abyss appears lifeless at first glance. Flat plains of mud and sediment stretch for thousands of kilometers. This false floor of the ocean makes up more than half of the Earth's surface. Yet even here, life exists. Strange fish with gelatinous bodies drift just above the seafloor. Sea cucumbers crawl slowly across the sediment, filtering particles from the water. Giant isopods, cousins of the common pillbug, scavenge the remains of whatever falls from above. The Mariana Trench is the deepest scar on Earth's surface. Stretching more than 2,500 kilometers in length and up to 70 kilometers wide, it marks the boundary where the Pacific Plate slides beneath the Philippine Plate. Formed over 180 million years ago, it remains geologically active. At its rim lie some of the strangest phenomena in the ocean. At around 400 meters depth, near the Daikoku Seamount, lies a pool of molten sulfur, a lake of black liquid boiling at nearly 187 degrees Celsius. It is one of the only known examples of molten sulfur erupting underwater. Deeper still, around 1,600 meters, lie the black smokers, hydrothermal vents spewing mineral-rich water at temperatures reaching 450 degrees Celsius. The water does not boil, held under pressure hundreds of times greater than at the surface. Minerals precipitate into towering chimneys, forming alien landscapes of black plumes and metallic deposits. Despite the extreme heat and pressure, life thrives here. Entire ecosystems form around chemosynthetic bacteria that convert vent chemicals into energy. Tube worms, clams, and crabs survive without sunlight, proving that life can exist independently of the sun. Some scientists believe the first life on Earth may have emerged in environments like these billions of years ago. The Mariana Trench rim is a paradox. It is a place of destruction, where fire and molten rock meet crushing darkness. Yet it is also a cradle, where life emerges from extremes that seem uninhabitable. Here, the ocean reminds us that what we consider lethal may also be the foundation of existence. The trench rim is not just an edge, it is a gateway to deeper mysteries below. At the heart of the Mariana Trench lie its deepest points, the Serena Deep and the Challenger Deep. The Challenger Deep, named after the British survey ship HMS Challenger, is the single deepest point of Earth's oceans. Its depth is measured at around, verify, 10,920 to 10,984 meters, depending on expedition data. To reach this far is to descend deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Nearby lies the Sirena Deep, slightly shallower at around verify 10,800 meters. Both lie within a trench that is not a narrow crack, but a vast formation stretching thousands of kilometers across the seafloor. The trench is the result of subduction, where one tectonic plate slides beneath another. Over millions of years, the Pacific Plate has been forced beneath the Philippine Plate, carving the trench and creating one of the most hostile environments on the planet. The paradox is striking. The Challenger Deep, though the lowest point on Earth's surface, is not the closest point to the Earth's center. Because the planet bulges at the equator, the seafloor of the Arctic Ocean lies closer by distance despite being shallower. The Mariana Trench is the deepest, but not the innermost. Few humans have visited the Challenger Deep. In 1960, Swiss engineer Jacques Picard and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh descended aboard the bathyscaphe Trieste. They reached nearly 10,116 meters, reporting life forms even at that depth. In 2012, filmmaker James Cameron piloted the deep-sea Challenger to a depth of about 10,908 meters, capturing video and collecting samples. More recently, private expeditions have returned, mapping the seafloor with increasing precision. The scale is overwhelming. The trench is over 2,500 kilometers long, dwarfing the Grand Canyon many times over. Its walls are steep, its floor uneven, its depths largely unexplored. To imagine standing at the bottom is to place 11 kilometers of crushing water above your head, an almost incomprehensible thought. The Sirena and Challenger Deeps remind us how little we know of our own planet. The ocean is vast, and its greatest scars plunge into darkness so extreme that only a handful of people have glimpsed them. These are not places of myth, but of fact, and they remain some of the least known environments in existence. For centuries, scientists believed life at the deepest trenches was impossible. The pressure, the cold, and the absence of light seemed insurmountable, but every expedition has challenged that assumption. When Jacques Picard and Don Walsh reached Challenger Deep in 1960, they reported seeing a flat fish-like creature in the lights of the Trieste. Though later debated, it suggested that even at 11 kilometers down, life endured. In the 1990s, the Japanese probe Kaiko descended to the trench and collected sediment samples from depths exceeding 10,900 meters. Within them were microscopic organisms, foraminifera, single-celled creatures with mineral shells. Life was not just surviving, but thriving in conditions once considered sterile. In 2011, unmanned drop cameras captured footage of giant amphipods, crustaceans up to 30 centimeters long, feeding at depths beyond 10,000 meters. This extreme gigantism, organisms far larger than their shallow water relatives, reflects unique evolutionary pressures in the deep. The following year, James Cameron's Deep-Sea Challenger brought back high-definition video and samples. Soil cores revealed dozens of new species of invertebrates, proving that biodiversity extends into the deepest abyss. In 2014, scientists identified new species of snailfish living at 8,145 meters. Fish adapted to survive crushing pressure and freezing water. Each discovery rewrites the limits of life. Creatures endure with fragile, gelatinous bodies and biochemistry adapted to resist pressure that would destroy most organisms. Some glow faintly in the dark, others scavenge relentlessly on the scarce food that drifts down. Humans have reached the trench only a handful of times, but robotic probes and sediment cores continue to expand our knowledge. Every expedition reveals more evidence that life is astonishingly resilient, adapting to extremes once thought impossible. The proof is undeniable. The deep ocean, far from barren, is alive with creatures stranger and more tenacious than we imagined. Their existence challenges our assumptions not only about Earth, but about where life might exist elsewhere in the universe. In the crushing depths of the Mariana, life does not end. It endures. The ocean's deepest trenches are not static. They are alive with movement, shaped by the constant grinding of tectonic plates. Earthquakes, landslides, and volcanic eruptions occur here, hidden beneath kilometers of water. The Puerto Rico Trench, for example, lies near one of the most seismically active zones in the Atlantic. Earthquakes here have triggered tsunamis capable of devastating coastlines. In 1918, a magnitude 7.5 quake struck the region, generating waves that killed over 100 people on the island of Puerto Rico. The Mariana Trench itself is part of the Ring of Fire, a volatile chain of subduction zones and volcanoes encircling the Pacific. Pressure builds silently for decades or centuries before releasing in violent quakes. These events reshape the seafloor and send shock waves across oceans. The horror of the trenches is not monsters or myths. It is scale, the vast, crushing immensity of forces we cannot control. Pressure that no human can endure. Darkness that swallows nearly the entire planet. Geological power that can erase coastlines in moments. Most of Earth exists in this hidden world. We map the stars more thoroughly than our own ocean floor. And in that ignorance lies dread. When the lights end, the world begins.